It's the greediest, most destructive, and disrespectful demonstration of just something run amok that you could ever see. There's no way to describe it.
I'm going to call him Professor. Boy, I learned a lot from that. A $65 million man lecturing us on greed. Listen, I want to talk to someone who actually worked with Neil Young briefly when Neil Young came to Fort McMurray the last time a few months ago, a filmmaker named Tim Moen, who joins us via Fort McMurray. Now, Tim, welcome to the show. I want to ask you, first of all, how did you connect with Neil Young, and what was the nature of your contract with him when he came to Fort McMurray?
They were looking for someone to take some aerial shots, and I'm kind of known in the area for my specialty is aerial filming, and so I was contacted that way. So they hired me to do some aerial shots of their fantastic technology, this LinkVolt technology that he developed, and I thought it was a good thing. And, you know, I'm all about promoting new and innovative technologies. That's kind of what we're doing up here, I think. So I thought it kind of fit with this community, and it's good to advocate for cleaner, more efficient technologies, and so that's what interested me in the project.
Right. It is a fascinating vehicle, 2 tons of fun, $1 million vehicle. Caught fire in his warehouse a few years ago, did almost $1 million damage, but hey, he's trying. He's got 2 engines in it. He's got a battery engine and a gas engine, so he's still tinkering. I got a question about that truck before I move on. I read on the website of this LinkVolt monstrosity supercar that most of the time it's carried on the back of a car carrier, you know, like one of those semi-trailers that you drive cars on. Did you see that vehicle, or was it always being driven on its own power?
No, it was always driven under its own power. I mean, they had their support crew, and they had a diesel-burning bus, obviously, following it up here. But he made a point of making sure it got here from I think he came from L.A. or San Francisco. He made sure that it got here under its own power, but it did take a bit of support, I think, obviously, to get there, and it broke down a few times, and they had some issues. But
yeah, well, one day I'll be rich enough to have a whole support crew tag along with me and a diesel bus of hangers-on. But let's get to the real point. I want to talk about what you were asked to film for part of his show and what you specifically were not asked to film. Can you tell me about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, when he came up here, you know, I thought it would be interesting seeing the synergies that are happening in this community with green technology, reclamation. It just so happened at the time that there was this Sustainable. It was an environmentally friendly carnival that runs off used cooking oil in the community. With a solar-powered stage, I thought it would have been a fantastic shot to get Neil up there showcasing the green of this community, because that was kind of his message, showing some of these innovative things that we're actually doing up here. And so, you know, and I thought it would be interesting to show him the way in which we're trying to be good environmental stewards and that sort of thing. He had a short time span here, so I do give him a little bit of leeway. He had a very specific agenda when he came here. His agenda wasn't to show necessarily a balanced view. It was to promote a particular message, and unfortunately that message got a little bit hyperbolic and a little bit exaggerated, if not, you know, untrue. I mean, we're not killing people up here. I think the evidence is the other way around. I've worked on in the health field and have been on other reserves across the province, and I can tell you that yes, conditions on reserves are terrible. It's something that needs to be addressed. But First Nations people here are given all sorts of opportunity, and as a result, they're seizing that opportunity and picking themselves up out of the tragedy of their past abuses and being able to do some wonderful things, and they're flourishing in many ways. And you know, we do have some work to do. We need to tighten some things up.
Tim, let me ask you back. Let me bring you back to Neil Young himself.
Sure.
Now, I know when James Cameron, who was a critic of the oil sands, visited, he went out of his way to hear all sides. He met with scientists. He met with industry. He inspected the new technology, which has a lower impact, the in situ or underground way of developing oil sands that does not have an open pit mine. Is it true that Neil Young refused to show any of these new technologies and did not meet with anyone from industry or these newer, greener technologies? Is that true?
Well, he didn't have necessarily time. He wasn't interested in it. He didn't
wasn't
seem
interested.
in
How
going
much
down
time
there.
was he up there altogether? How many days was he up there?
He was up here for 3 days. I mean, there would have been time had he wanted to make time. There was gaps in the schedule for sure.
Did he meet with any Indians who have embraced the oil sands? Anyone from the Fort McKay Band or any Aboriginal entrepreneurs? I'm just going to pick a name out of the air. Dave Tuckerow, multimillionaire Aboriginal entrepreneur. Did Neil Young meet with any Indians who are working hard and making millions, or did he just meet with the dissidents?
No, he obviously didn't meet with those guys. They would have told him a completely different story than the one he got.
Yeah.
And even, you know, I know someone commented on my blog that when him and Daryl Hannah arrived in Janvier, she felt put out because they were trying to pass on some cultural traditions to their younger people, and all of a sudden all the attention focused on these two celebrities, and they felt like they were being imposed on. And she, in her words, she said something to the effect of they were looking for sick and dying Indians and animals, and they didn't seem to be finding any, and she kind of felt put out by it.
Huh. Isn't that the truth? Well, listen, Tim, I appreciate you. I mean, you've been very gentle with your former employee here, and you've said, well, maybe he didn't have time. When you're in Fort McMurray for 3 days and you manage to avoid the new technologies, the 2,000 Indians working happily and richly in the industry, all the scientists and all the reclamation, you're not there on a fact-finding mission. You're there on a propaganda mission, and I think you've helped shown that today. Thanks, Tim, for being a proud Albertan and a proud Fort McMurrayite. You keep up the fight.
Thank you, sir.